Mrs. Edith, a short story. Shout out to Reddit. I ran my fingers across the page, following a line as I read. 2 cloves garlic, half a yellow onion, a teaspoon of oregano. I mumbled under my breath. 1 cup of Parmesan. The cheese! I forgot the cheese. How could I forget the cheese? I turned and I paced the room. What was I supposed to do now? My date will be here in 30 minutes, and I promised her a home-cooked gourmet meal. Maybe I shouldn't have gone on so long about my cooking abilities before. After all, the extent of my cooking prowess stopped at frozen meals and toaster pastries. Edith! I bolted out the door, across the hall, and began knocking on the door. If anyone could help me, it would be Edith. The door opened, but not fully, just cracked. You could see the chain lock still locked near the top of the door in case anyone tried anything funny. Edith was an elderly woman. She had wrinkled, ebony skin, gray frizzy hair, and a heavy southern accent. In her old age, her eyes dropped and her face sunk, but you could tell she was a remarkable beauty in her youth. After she was finished analyzing me, she shut the door, undid the chain lock, and opened it up. What the hell do you want, Jackson? It's 8 o'clock. I'm so sorry, Mrs. Edith, but my date will be here in 30 minutes, and I'm out of cheese. Edith eyeballed me a moment. Okay, what's cheese got to do with that? Slightly embarrassed, I quickly corrected myself. Oh, well, I promised her a home-cooked meal, and Parmesan is one of the main ingredients I forgot to grab while I was at the store. Edith sighed and stands there a moment. Wait here. She retreated back into her apartment, once again shutting the chain lock on the door behind her. I stood there, not so patiently tapping my foot and checking my watch. Only 26 minutes till she arrives now. After what seemed like an eternity, 2.5 minutes, I heard footsteps approaching the door. She unlocked it and opened it. She was holding a bag of shredded Parmesan cheese. Mrs. Edith, you are a lifesaver. Thank you so much, I say as I snatch the bag of cheese from her hand and scurry back to my kitchen. I left the pasta boiling on the stove. I swiftly ran over and grabbed a pot of boiling noodles and a strainer from the cupboard. As quickly and as carefully as I could, I poured the scalding hot mixture into the sink. My poor noodles had turned mushy in the extra 10 minutes they had on the stove. They were ruined. Maybe I could save this, I thought as I grabbed my bag of flour from the pantry and some eggs from the fridge. But I guess I must have spilled some of the boiling water onto the floor because I slipped in a puddle and fell flat on my back. Eggs flew into the air, the flour scattered across and coated the floor. This was a disaster. I didn't even want to get up. Why did I say I would do this? As I laid there defeated, I heard a knock at the door, and my mind began to race. Oh God, she's early. I'm supposed to have another 23 minutes still. Damn it. With unremarkable speed, I jumped to my feet and I scooped up the eggs before throwing them in the trash. I swept as much flour under the stove as possible as it could and brushed myself off on my way to the door. In my head, I flipped through the best excuse I could possibly think of, trying to find one that made sense. I twisted the doorknob. I pulled it towards me. Sarah, I'm so sorry. Shut your damn mouth. My name ain't Sarah, Edith snapped as she walked into the atrocity that is my kitchen. Immediately, she rolled her sleeves up and got to work. Grab a new trash bag. Pick all that shit up on the counters and sweep the flour into a pile. I'll handle the rest of the cooking. Taken aback, I decided to just do as she says. Thank you, Miss Edith. Are you sure you don't need my help with any cooking? She doesn't even look up from what she's doing. Oh, I'm sure, hon. Just clean up all this mess. She moved it with a swiftness, her arms like a machine. One hand cracked eggs and poured flour, and another mixing and kneading it. It was amazing. Once the noodles were back into the pot, her callous hands grabbed a wooden spoon from a drying rack on my sink. She dipped it into the meatball sauce, took a small taste, winced, and exclaimed, "Oh boy, that is nasty." And she chuckled. "Where's your spices?" she asked. The cabinet above the stove and to the right. She pulled it open and began grabbing bottles and reading labels. She seemed to find what she was looking for as she sat out 3 to 4 different spices and started dumping them into the sauce. "Are you wearing that tonight?" she asked inquisitively. I looked down at my clothes. My jeans were covered in flour. My shirt was stained by tomato paste and egg yolk. I needed a change. "I'll be right back," I said. I sprinted into my bedroom. I grabbed a black polo from my closet, a pair of blue jeans from my dresser, and some socks off my nightstand. Once I pieced my outfit back together, I walked in the front bathroom mirror and combed my hair again. Good enough for me, I thought. I ran back to the kitchen, ready to help Edith finish up, and instead I was amazed by what I saw. It was spotless. The dishes were in order. Flour no longer coated the floor. The trash was in bags by the door. The counter even sparkled. I swear this woman was magic. Her job here was done, and with 3 minutes to spare, she walked towards me on her way out the door. "Them noodles like about 5 more minutes. Take them off and drain the water soon as the timer on the oven beeps." She grabbed my twisted collar, straightened it up, gave me a warm smile, and headed back to her place. Back to bed, I assume. I gave her a quick thank you as she left, but all she gave me in return was, mm-hmm. Once she was gone, I let out a sigh of relief, and just as I did, there was one more knock on the door. I looked around my apartment. It was spotless. The food was nearly ready. I'm ready. Here we go, I say as I opened the door and found a beautiful curly-haired brunette, her eyes as sharp as steel and her smile like a beam of sunlight in a dark room. "Sarah," I exclaimed as I greet her with a hug. "Jackson," she says. "I had no idea you lived right across the hall from my grandma." That's cute. I like that.